Welcome to another edition of Granger Talk, the podcast that brings you the inside scoop on all things happening at LaGrange High School and beyond. We are your hosts, Jamie Bozeman and Aiden Blackwell. Today we are excited to interview Miss Stacie Halcrombe, creator of Joy Inside Tears, to discuss Mental Health Awareness Month. Today we'll be discussing the significance of Mental Health Awareness Month and exploring ways to promote mental wellness in our communities. Miss Stacie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I want to thank you both for having me on. This is just a great opportunity for me to share and spread some information about what the month means beginning May 1st, Mental Health Awareness Month, that we need to just be empowering the community. So I'm here for that. Awesome. So
let's get started. Let's just jump right in then. As you know that kind of in the introduction, we said that month is the actual month, is the month of mental health awareness. Mm-hmm. So if you don't mind, can you start us out by just telling us how has your own journey influenced your passion for mental health advocacy?
That's a good question, and thanks for giving me the opportunity once again to talk about it. My journey began 3 years ago. When we first moved here. I'm a native of Ohio. So coming here in the middle of a move, I lost my son to suicide. And with that, I did not know any signs or symptoms. I didn't even have any education on mental health or mental illness or anything like that because I did not see signs or symptoms, nor was my son diagnosed with anything. So that made it a little bit difficult, and I think that's why it's so important for us to make sure we're educating ourselves, we're becoming literate on signs, symptoms, and awareness for those who may be suffering in silence. My son had 2 careers. By the time he was 21, he was a sergeant in the National Guard. He was a lineman apprentice about to become a lineman for Cleveland Public Power. And I don't know if that was stress. I don't know what it was, but in hindsight, looking forward, it was a mask that I didn't see him expressing anything was wrong. So this is why I'm very vigilant to make sure if I can help anyone to be counterproductive and be more concerned about preventive and early intervention and prevention, that we can combat any other thing that can happen beyond mental health awareness, because then it becomes crisis, then it becomes other things.
Yeah, it's almost like if you're talking about it as it's happening, you're almost too late on it, right? So looking at some signs that we can point out earlier is so important. And with that, can you share some of the initiatives that are going to be happening this month, or even before this month begins, the month of May? What are some community initiatives that people can get involved in?
Well, definitely. Joy Inside Tears, we have partnered with April Ross BTV, and this campaign is amazing. I did one maybe a year and a half ago, but it was a No to Suicide campaign. But this one that I'm doing with April Ross with BTV, it is a hope campaign. So what we're doing, we're in the community. We have so many people that have participated, from individuals, small groups, businesses, everyone with the hope sign. We're coming around, or you can create your own. And we're just making sure that we're unified and letting the community know that there is hope, that we are resilient, and we stand with them. Because I think that's the main thing. People think that they're alone. And so that's where most of the silence happens, in most of the suffering happens in silence, because you're isolating yourself, you're becoming, maybe depressed about different things, and you don't think anyone either wants to hear your story of, right, I'm down and I don't, because so many people brush people off in that way, like, oh, they're always depressed, or they're always down, or they're always, not uplifting. So they kind of stray away from people. I noticed that, especially the youth, because they don't understand what someone may be experiencing if they haven't experienced it themselves.
Right.
It's interesting. It sounds to some this may be like this new, concept or something like that of mental health awareness and whatnot. But as I sit here and I listen to you talk, LaGrange High School has been impacted by this. I've been here for 24 years. I know that Aiden's been here for quite some time now, also, and close to 20 years. And it's not something that's foreign to us. You know, we had a graduate of LaGrange High School named Tamlin Hall. Tamlin is a movie producer in Atlanta, and Tamlin is awesome guy. He came here with Hope Givers. Speaking of hope, he came here with Hope Givers first semester with his program. He also filmed a movie here called Holding On, about one of our students. And it's something that, it is real.
It is real.
And how do we bring awareness, to the community, but then also the students in the school, in the schools that we serve. So from that, what are some common misconceptions about mental health that you often encounter?
I think the most common one is people assume that you're choosing to be depressed. So many times people can think, oh, you can get over it, snap out of it. What's wrong? You shouldn't be depressed about what? You have everything. I think that's the most common misconception. And some people may think it's a black or white thing. And that's a bias. It affects every household, or that it cannot be prevented, that mental illness cannot be prevented. Everything is manageable if it's diagnosed and is treated. That's why it's so important for us to continue to talk to our children, talk to even our teachers, talk to our counselors, because they're the one that can definitely recommend the help that we need. We need to talk to our counselors. That's, I think, makes a lot of stuff taboo, because it's a confidentiality thing. People don't want others to know that I'm going through something.
Yeah, and you speak of teachers. I mean, like our teachers in our classrooms every single day, which whether it's from elementary, middle, or high, I mean, they're spending 7-8 hours a day with these kids 5 days a week, or these students and young adults, depending on whatever grade level they're in. So, what better group to really kind of know and see some of those things that may be going on, that they could just, hey, I don't know if this is what this is, but, you might want to kind of talk to the student.
And part of that goes into misconceptions, because it's being depressed or suicidal doesn't mean you're sad. I mean, it manifests differently for each person.
Absolutely.
And then the causes are all different with their beings. People handle stress differently.
Amen.
And what's stressful for one person might not be stressful at all for another person. So like to think, oh, you've got like a good job, like you've got no, what do you have to be depressed or stressed about? That's
you have
not
no
how it
worries
works.
in life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're
Like
right.
nobody has
You're
no
right.
worries. But as a teacher, like it's
Right.
what we have to do is pay attention to minor changes. Kids not dressing the same,
Exactly.
or is tardy all of a sudden, or just quieter. Like we have to be vigilant in seeing that, and then also then through your relationship with the kids, talking to that kid about those kind of things that you're seeing, because you really never know what people are going through outside of the classroom or anywhere else.
I like how you put that, and that makes it very, very important for the observations, as you're saying, to go out. Because if you had someone, the students was super jovial all the time and excited, and they immediately or become withdrawn, it might be a traumatic experience that they've gone through, and that's a lot of things too that people are hiding. The things that they're going through, of course, it might be something from their family. They don't want to tell people about that. And we come from that generation where everything was swept under the rug. You better not talk about stuff. Well, go on in this house, stay in this house. That's how we were taught.
And we are seeing more of a change in that with our young, like the youth are more apt to talk about mental health. I think there has been the stigma's changing on that. I think from previous generations to this newer one where they're more likely to talk about it. I did a project, I was at Think Academy a few years ago about like issues in the schools kids would like to see, and the one that won, there was a voting thing throughout the school. The one that won was more funding for mental health care in the schools, because at the time I think it was one counselor per 300 on a campus, one counselor for 300 students. That's like, it did make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they are more open to speak about it. But I had a principal at Hope Academy, Carla Fagg, her the whole thing was like animals when they're in distress, what do they do? Like what do dogs do when they're distressed? They bark. What do cats do when they're hungry? They meow. Well, when kids are acting out in class, it's usually because there's something behind it. It's for a reason. They're speaking out for help. And that was like, we see kids in classes that are doing certain things. It's not always just because they like doing bad things. There's something else behind it. And as a teacher, it's our job to look into it. And that could be the opposite of that. They're doing less. And that's communication as well.
That is, and like what you're adding to this conversation is that even negative behavior
Right.
is warning some kind of reaction. You know, they'll get a reaction. The acting out means something too,
Right,
is what
right,
you're saying. So
right.
negative behavior will mean something as
Right.
well. I do agree, but this is even more so. I think even in the community where we're seeing it a lot with the young males and adult males, that mental illness or mental health questioning is seen to be a sign of weakness. So that's a conversation that needs to be addressed.
So instead of having things that are a touchy subject such as this, where people seem to be withdrawn from oftentimes, how do we promote a more inclusive understanding, all right, towards mental health and its challenges?
Well, I think what we're doing now opens up the dialogue. What I do with Joy Inside Tears, we have a community support meeting that we do the fourth Tuesday of every month. And it's very, very, it's a safe space. I think when we can create more safe spaces for people to talk and share and to know that they're not alone and they can come there and unpack all the feelings and emotions in a safe environment, I think that's when we'll get somewhere, knowing that there is people or organizations or groups that support that type of those issues or those matters, not necessarily, or concerns, that we support that and we're there for them and we want them to work through it. Even at our meetings, we have grief, someone there that can speak with them on grief after that's over. Counselors or a therapist might be there to just make sure they don't leave with all these unanswered questions or they have no one to talk to, because a lot of people are distraught and they don't know where to turn. And it's unfortunate that we don't have enough, I wouldn't say just resources, because resources are even on our phones right now. But you're talking about the intimacy, you know, we're talking about the interpersonal interactions that we're not getting. Right. So that's what it does. It'll isolate you. The mental health challenges can isolate you.
You know, it's really interesting to watch, just to sit back and watch people sometimes. You know, you like to go to a park or something like that and just kind of watch people walk or in a mall or in a crowded place. But just sit here and watch in school. I mean, and you see like who kids gravitate to, or you see who other teachers or who other adults gravitate to. And, you know, you never know that you may be that sounding board or that person that, you know, if I'm dealing with something, I don't need anything from you other than just a simple, you just give me an ear. You know what I'm saying? Right. And how often do we miss an opportunity to do those things and just be that sounding board or just be that person that just sits and listens because somebody needs to say something to get it off, you know, or you know, it's pent up inside. Let me release it. And then I'm not asking you for anything. That's just listen to me.
Yeah. That's part of an action plan within mental health first aid. That's a training that my program does certify on. It's a 3-year certification, just like your CPR first aid. You can take a mental health first aid class, and that is part of the action plan. The L is in the plan. You need to listen non-judgmentally. So many times we're listening to respond and to react rather than we're listening to hear and understand. And so if we continue that type of deficit in communication, it's always going to be a problem, because you'll be trying to get your point across where someone else is just, how you took this conversation and just turned it all about you. I just was trying to talk about me. You know, how I was feeling in the moment. You know, and there's so many other things, if I may add, that keeps the stigma going is not using the first person language is what we're noticing. So many people are still saying that makes it shameful. Oh, they committed suicide. Committed is what now we're looking at as an act of criminal. That's committed a crime. So when you attach words to some things, like if someone is bipolar, they are not bipolar because now you're giving them the actual label. They suffer from the bipolar disorder. They're not, she's schizophrenic. No, she suffers from schizophrenia. So I think if we even reverse that, they committed suicide, and families saying that, they wouldn't want to tell someone, oh, my dad committed suicide. that sounds so harsh.
Right.
When you can simply say now, they died by it. That was the death, like you died from cancer. You died from a car accident, So I think that's what this shirt is about. Change your words, change your mindset. And I'm wearing a shirt today. Y'all can't see it. And so this was from Voices from Prevention. We were just up at the state capitol because I'm a huge advocate, and I'm up there with American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I'm up there if NAMI's up there. So we have so many grassroots organizations that I would love to grow into as big as that. But in the meantime, I'm boots on the ground locally,
Right.
And we're trying to support and help everyone that we can.
What kind of feedback do you get when you go to the Capitol?
You know what? The Capitol was amazing because we got a chance to talk to so many people about the issues. But this one, the last one we just did, it was about the youth. So I didn't go into the Capitol, but we supported them in gathering for the whole forum and the acknowledgement of the schools that came out and that went over to talk to their governmental presence and their representatives about some of the issues they're facing in schools. So if we don't stay vigilant on advocating for every and anything that means so much to us, especially this part, because we're losing a lot of people. We're losing a lot of our youth because, again, either this social media platform that has been setting up a lot of confusion and misrepresentation of how life should be
Right.
and what it looks like. And if you're not meeting these standards,
Right.
you're less than, as well as just the bullying. It's so many things sets up the stage for someone to withdraw or someone to feel like, I don't want to be here, this is hard.
I appreciate you bringing up that. I read a story years ago about this girl that went off to play soccer somewhere in a college in the north, and she fell into depression because of looking at her friend's Instagram page, and they were living this college life through Instagram, that she wasn't. She was working as a college athlete nonstop and ended up taking her own life through suicide because she felt like she was having a less than experience than others. And there's tons of research out there about the negative impacts that social media has, particularly on young females. So I appreciate you bringing that up because that's something I talk about a lot in my class with my students.
That's also a question that we have in our Mr. and Miss LHS, competition every year. Somebody draws that out of the fishbowl. And, it's, what impact do you think that social media has on youth today or just on society? Is it a positive or a negative impact? And I always, there are certain questions that are asked that you really want to hear from your student body, like, what are you fixing to say? And, some of it's all funny and it's this, that, you just
Right.
kind of laugh it off and you move on and they walk off stage. But then there's other questions that you're just kind of sitting there kind of hanging on the edge of your seat, wondering what they're about to say. Is it positive? Is it negative? Are they looking at it, holistically, or are they just looking at it in the moment, as to what somebody, the perception of what somebody's life is that theirs is not, or how they're inadequate and, based on potentially even a lie that someone's living behind a screen, kind of deal. So those questions like that are really interesting, and it's really kind of it's not a gauge to see where our kids are, but it does kind of give you insight to kind of how teenagers, think about stuff like that.
But guess what? Even if they gave you the realest raw answers, are you all ready to and
Right.
prepared to? So that
Correct.
comes into, like you said, back to the education, back to us ending the stigma. Right now, and another thing to add to initiatives, Joy Inside Tears is working along with Troup County School System. And for the month of May, I'm doing so many things, but that brought me to this because when you said something about draw, but this has to do, I put an initiative together for an art contest. And the art contest for all teens, it doesn't have to be for an art class, but what it is about is, what does mental health mean to you? So they can use any medium of art to draw that out. And that'll be happening at Troup County School System. They have a program May 9th, or an event for parents and students at the library. And the contest will be going on during that. So I'll be able to see some visual, because art also has a therapeutic aspect to it for mental health. And that's a big thing that needs to continue to be incorporated, because when people can't distinguish things with words, they can do it in art.
Right.
When they can't say how they're really feeling, they can probably express it in that medium. And Joy Inside Tears, we have also partnered. I bought in the LaGrange Art Museum, and they're also giving some help with the place winners, because we do have that going on. But just to let you know that there's things that are happening surrounding this, because we need to just keep the dialogue going. We need to make sure people are literate, be it through art, be it through education, be it through just having even. I would like to see a group, like we kind of construct not a play, but something in that dynamic that shows the different things that are happening with a actual mental health crisis or breakdown, or the things that people should see and be aware of.
So you said that day is May the 9th? That's
May
on a
9th.
Thursday, correct?
That is, and that's at May 9th at 5:30. That's at the library, but that's something Troup
County School System.
Yeah, it's doing, and you'll see our Joy Inside Tears, What Does Mental Health Mean to You art show.
Okay.
And we're going to we turned it into a contest because we want everyone to be able to participate.
And that's going to be for all levels, I'm assuming, right?
This is for the teens.
Okay, teens.
Yeah,
Okay, just
they
for
do
the
have an
teens.
exhibition
Okay,
already
okay.
going on, so this one is for the teens. And so even the graphic design department, anyone who wants to participate, we didn't leave it just to art students, but we want them to just express, because mental health, that could be, it could be the sadness in it. It could be the, just whatever emotion that comes into your mind in displaying that. It doesn't have to be so sad, because some things make you anxious. You could be
Right.
excited, but that can also be a bad thing
Right.
for you,
So-
in that sense.
So you said that you're also partnering. Are there other ways that you're partnering with the Troup County School System for the month of May, or is that just the major one?
That is the major one for this month. I do a few things with them. I have spoke to their parent advisory board. I have. I can't even. I do so much.
I just didn't want to miss an opportunity to kind of show how the Troup County School System
the
is
school
working
is
with.
vigilant. I've even did, like last year, their social work and the social workers and the counselors, they had a leadership time, so I spoke at that. So it's us just making sure how they can transfer the information along, in any way to make sure that no one is suffering in silence.
We're talking about those resources and things that people can get involved in. Are there any other resources? I know 988. I'd like for you to speak about 988, because I'd read about that earlier from your website, and it's something that I'd imagine if I'd ask 20 people, they wouldn't know that resource was available, which is why you're here.
And that's something that Tamlin and his group mentioned whenever they were here earlier first semester as well. So with Hope Givers.
And let me just add, I had the privilege last year when I did my prevention awareness event for suicide, my first one, right on the square in LaGrange. It'll be there. The second annual one will be this year. But anyway, I talked to Tamlin on the phone.
Did you?
I was like, he called me, and I was going crazy. I'm like, hey, like we were friends,
We should have got Tamlin to come in here today.
Listen,
right?
when I say he knows of me, because if nobody else is picking up this torch, because where he's left off, it's me. Because I see that he was the actual the whole force behind suicide prevention and a story about suicide that no one else probably wanted to talk about. So I've come along. That's where he was like he passed that torch. I'm gonna keep it lit, because we have to make sure these things are not happening on our watch. And that's only early intervention and prevention. But what was our next thing? We were about to say something
988.
before. Oh, 988, because that took me off. Tamlin. Shout out to Tamlin. Okay. So 988. People you're right. They don't know about 988. 988 just simply replaced a number that people would call for as a lifeline, for a crisis line. And when it changed, because that was a law, because what was happening, there were so many people calling, because you can't keep up with all the numbers. They just made it, they just simplified it. Just dial 988. So it's just a lifeline. It's a crisis line that you can call for someone that's experiencing a moment that you think, hey, they need some help. Maybe it's an ideation. Or if they're experiencing or you're there with someone that has gone through that, of course you're going to dial 911 if you're seeing your friend in a way that it was self-harm. You need to call someone. So 988 has counselors like certified counselors and specialists on that line to talk someone through what they're going through. So 988 simply just replaced a number that was in place before, simplified it so that all streams, you can stream and everyone can get a call through, because I think it might have been that type of thing that was happening prior to that.
So it's something that the person can call, or you can call as an advocate for somebody else.
Absolutely.
And so is it, at what point do you get to that level, I guess? So Jamie, you're talking about like being the sounding board for somebody else. Yeah. But at some point, like, I'm not a professional. Jamie's talking to me about something.
Yes.
So so 988 is something that Jamie and I are talking, and I'm concerned about him. I can call 988 and get him hooked up with a counselor or guidance.
I would say yes. Yes to that, because again, what other reason would you be calling it? If your friend or yourself or your family or your, whomever is that is going through and experiencing something that needs to talk to someone at that moment, you might be with that person and they might have said to you, hey, I'm thinking about, I don't want to be here anymore. I've thought about killing myself. And then your response will be, you need to talk to someone. And if you don't have a resource like, hey, I got a counselor or I can talk to my mom, no, let's call 988. Let's dial 988. And it could be just that simple that you can connect someone, because those words mean something. And even if they don't act on it right then, it's in their mind.
Well, they're telling you because they're reaching out.
Right. Absolutely.
So how can individuals or communities actively participate in raising awareness? Because a lot of people are just like, well, I don't know anything about that. That's not my area, or I don't know anybody like that, or whatever. How can they, actively participate in raising awareness for mental health?
Talk about it. Talk about it will help end the stigma dramatically. Because if we're not having these conversations, and how I feel about it, if you have all the resources and means for kids to succeed in any kind of other way, like in sports, cheerleading, all these things, you need to have a resource to make sure, hey, how you doing? How you really doing?
Right.
And that's the mind. Like, where you been thinking? How's everything going? Is everything okay? Because this is where you can really find the truth in that. Because when we're pushing them in for so many other reasons and for so many other things, they only can focus on that. And just think of a balance of academics and sports, because we're trying to win this championship.
Ain't no doubt. That's what Grangers do, right?
The Granger's trying to win this championship, and then you got hypothetically John and all like, oh my God, I'm the quarterback, I can't drop that ball. And then John was like, dang, but I got this test next week, it's the A, and I got to pass. I'm on the verge of this, my academic suffering. Then you go home,
and then there's real world.
There's real world. Right. John got a girlfriend that he shouldn't even have, but because he's young. But they're doing a lot.
Right.
So just compile all that, and where in there is John really having a moment?
Right.
To really just debrief with someone.
Right.
Hopefully it's the parent that's paying attention, or that he's going to. That's the closest to him. But I just spoke at Callaway Middle School, but it was for their career exploration. But I was talking to them about my LLC, which is Youth and Adolescents Coaching and Consulting. So I consult and coach on youth, adolescent mental health. But that's not why we're here. I only brought that up to say some of the children there were very, very engaged on like, what will we do? What will we say? So that's the dynamic. If they're having most of their time spent among these peers, I told them, y'all got to look out for each other. Right. You're with these people more than you with your parents, because by the time they get off work and you go home, you're going to bed, they're going to bed. How was your day? Eat some dinner. However the dynamic goes in some families.
Right.
Now, you got some where it might be a little bit different from that structure. They're not eating dinner at the table, So who are you really talking to besides your peers? So I engaged them and charged them, look out for each other. You're with this person. You will notice something before you would notice something. Right. And don't think you are losing their confidence by saying, hey, I got to tell coach. Right. Because that's the thing. You think now that you broke my confidence. Right. I told you something that you shouldn't have told anyone. But why would I can't keep this to myself if you've told me what you have thought about. Right. I need to share that with someone. So people need to know how to regulate that in the normalcy. That's what awareness is about, to make sure we're having these conversations and that those that need the help have a safe space to talk about it, and those that are in recovery from mental health issues or are still on their journey, they know that they're not alone, and the people are there to support them.
So, Ms. Tracie, before we go, I know that your organization, all right, Joys Inside Tears, they've got some big things coming up. Can you talk to us about that really quick, and then just kind of, I'll let you take us out with that.
All right. Well, if you need to get a sign, I'm here for that. The Hope sign, we have those. That myself, for April Ross, if you see her, because she's out in the Beehive truck all the time. But even if not, you can call us, 706-407-1260, and say, hey, I want you to come to my business or my organization or our school or your church. We'll come there with the sign. We'll take your picture. There is a fundraiser, because what this fundraiser is doing for Joy Inside Tears, we have to keep our educational programs appropriate for everyone. So we definitely need to get more youth and teen programs started. And we also want to make sure, if in fact someone can't afford the mental health coverage for counseling or therapists, that's what we want to be able to do. Because even with insurance, we know they might say, hey, you've had enough sessions. So we were saying, well, hey, take some more, if we can do that. So we're here for that. And what the photos do, they're going to be turned into a video. BTV is going to air that on their network for actual roundtable discussion that myself and some healthcare professionals here will be doing on May 22nd. And it'll be on air as well as on social media. So this video with all these beautiful pictures that are supporting those for hope in our community, letting them know they're not alone, and we stand with them during the month, not only just this month, but beyond that, because that's what my mission is. My son's legacy will live, and I'm going to make sure that nothing like that happens to anyone else, because I'm experienced in this area. Right.
Well, Ms. Tracie, thank you so much for being here today. I can't thank you enough for being up in the lobby the other day and just kind of talking to me a little bit, and then coming on today to share your story, and then also what mental health awareness means to you, and then how we can also get involved.
I really appreciate it. And this was such a great opportunity for me to just share the information. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps us up for another insightful episode of Granger Talk. A huge thank you goes out to our guest, Ms. Stacie Halcrombe, for helping bring attention and awareness to Mental Health Awareness Month. If you or anyone you know would like more information about mental health awareness, you can check out Ms. Tracie's website at www.joyinsidetears.com. Remember, you can catch up on all episodes of your favorite podcast platform. Stay tuned for more captivating discussions on all things LaGrange High School and beyond. And also remember that hotline is 988. Tamlin, say it with me, 988, 988.
You're in a crisis.
988, that's right. All right, thank you, Tamlin, also for everything that you've been doing here, Ms. Tracie. And as always, until next time, go Grangers.
Go Grangers.